Greetings once again everyone, and today I have something really special to show you. Not only did the Sigma lens company blow us all away with a brand new 200mm f2 lens recently, but they're treating us to something else now that I think is perhaps even a bit more special. A full frame 135mm f1.4. Amazing! One of my favourite portrait lenses of all time is actually Sigma's 105mm f1.4. Well, this new 135mm lens offers even more diffused backgrounds than that, in a focal length that is perfect for classic portrait, wedding, and even indoor sports photography. At a price of £1,649, it only costs about £100 more than Sony's official 135mm f1.8 G Master lens, but the Sigma's maximum aperture is 66% brighter, making a big difference to your backgrounds and potentially setting your work apart from the competition. It's not the very first 135mm f1.4 lens out there in living memory. Mitacon made a limited run of manual focus 135mm f1.4 lenses about 7 years ago now, which can occasionally be found on eBay for a couple of £1,000s. I hear they made about 100 of those. Tokina also make a cine lens, which is 135mm t1.5 and costs about £8,500. Well, this Sigma lens is the very first autofocus 135mm f1.4 lens out there though, and its price here in the UK actually significantly undercuts those manual focus lenses if you can find them, so Sigma have probably got this lens's price about right. It will be available on L-mount and Sony E-mount cameras, and I'd like to thank Sigma UK very much for loaning me this little monster for a couple of weeks for evaluation, although as usual they've had no input into the video and this is a totally independent review. Even though this is not a very physically long lens, that massive front glass element will draw attention from absolutely anyone. It's truly a marvel of design and engineering, and everything else about this lens's build quality is essentially perfect. It's made of a mixture of metal and high quality plastic, and it's based on a metal lens mount with weather sealing. It weighs over 1.4 kilograms or over 3 pounds, so while it's definitely on the heavy side, it's not quite going to hurt your arms. All that glass must weigh quite a lot. Next comes an Arca Swiss compatible tripod mount, which is very solid and adjustable and removable. There are a lot of control points on the lens as well, which is always handy. It saves you having to fiddle around changing things in the camera's options menu. First comes the aperture ring, which can be set to click nice and confidently every third of an f-stop, or it can also be set to turn smoothly, which yields some lovely smooth aperture changes when video making. It can also be locked in or out of automatic mode, which is a feature I often find really useful. The aperture mechanism has 13 iris blades to it for a smoother bokeh when the lens is topped down. Then we get a manual focus switch and a couple of autofocus hold buttons on the side, but no focus limiter switch. Then comes a rubberized manual focus ring, which turns very smoothly, and the focus motor responds very well to it being turned. As you can see here, the lens exhibits moderately strong focus breathing though, which will be a bit of a shame for video makers. Now let's hear about autofocus. It works accurately and silently. In single shot autofocus mode it works quite quickly. Switch over to autofocus continuous mode on your Sony camera and it works basically instantaneously. That is impressive. Those motors are probably having to shift around some pretty heavy glass elements in there. It's fast and reliable enough for sports shooting. On my Sony a7CR it seemed to have no trouble at all with accurate subject tracking even at f1.4. The lens has a 105mm filter size and comes with a very good quality lockable hood with a rubber trim on the inner edge. It does not have image stabilization. Overall, while the lens is a little heavy and certainly very attention grabbing, still its build quality is excellent here and its autofocus particularly impressive. Alright, let's hear about image quality then. We'll start by testing it on a full frame camera, the brutal 61MP Sony a7CR. In-camera corrections are turned on for this test. If you want full frame images zoomed into the 42MP ratio of my older reviews by the way for comparison, then you can find a link to a special unlisted video in the description below. In the middle of the image, right away at f1.4, we see excellent sharpness and contrast. Stop down to f2 to make the small jump from excellent to absolutely perfect image quality there. Okay, let's open back up to f1.4 and take a look in the image corners. Okay, sharpness is still great here, I'm pleased to say, but contrast is a little lower than it was in the middle. Stop down to f2 though for a punchier image, and at f2.8 we see absolutely perfect sharpness, contrast and brightness from corner to corner. The lens stays this sharp down to about f8, although as usual f11 and f16 get softer due to the effects of diffraction. Overall though, this is an amazing performance, especially considering how incredibly demanding the sensor on this camera is. There's just so much sharpness and contrast to be seen here with virtually no colour fringing. Okay, let's test it on the 26 megapixel aps-c mode of my A7R camera now. Just like on full frame, right away at f1.4, we see excellent sharpness and contrast in the middle. Stop down to f2 to make the small jump from excellent to absolutely perfect image quality there. Okay, let's open back up to f1.4 and take a look in the image corners. Sharpness and contrast both still look fantastic here. Stop down to f2 for perfect image quality from corner to corner. Again, the lens stays this sharp down to f8 and gets softer as you stop down further from there. So yeah, it's a brilliant performance on aps-c as well. Let's turn off in-camera corrections and take a look at distortion and vignetting. The lens projects rather strong pincushion distortion here, and vignetting is strong too at f1.4. However, stop down to f2 or f2.8 and those corners quickly brighten up, so you'll obviously want to use corrections with this lens. The lens's minimum focus distance is 110 centimeters, which is a bit further than average for a 135mm optic, but still perfectly fine really. At f1.4, the close-up image quality is definitely on the soft side. It's better at f2, and at f2.8, it's sharp again. Let's see about work against bright lights now. I was bracing myself for problems here, considering the lens's gigantic glass elements, but Sigma's team have done an excellent job of suppressing flaring here, even at f1.4, and contrast remains nice and high as a result. Next, bokeh. Not only does this lens offer you amazingly deeply out of focus backgrounds here, but those backgrounds are also fabulously soft. They really are absolutely gorgeous to see, something else entirely. And finally, related to bokeh comes longitudinal chromatic aberration. It's a little strong here at f1.4, stop down to f2 though and it's almost gone, and at f2.8 it's totally gone. Overall, well, I think I might have a new favourite portrait lens here. The Sigma 135mm f1.4 is simply a stellar optic, which at f1.4 offers you images which leap right out at you spectacularly. Its sharpness, contrast, smooth bokeh and excellent autofocus are all great to see, and I'm glad to note it didn't have any problems with flaring either. Its uncorrected distortion and vignetting were a bit higher than I expected to see, but nowadays I'm afraid that's just a normal choice from most manufacturers in order to keep the lens's size and cost down. Talking about cost, £1,649 is obviously a lot of money, but for many wedding and portrait photographers, as well as some sports and indoor sports photographers, it's a hero product that will easily be worth its price in order to differentiate your work from the competition. The lens performs unquestionably and so obviously comes highly recommended. Wow, 2025 is turning into the year of Sigma. I can't believe all these new products they're coming out with right now. Thanks for watching everyone, and here are my usual reminders. Check out playlists on my channel for more reviews of lenses for your camera system. I'm actually coming up to my 1000th lens review soon, and I have a special lens review lined up and ready for that. And if you want to support my work in producing these sponsorship-free videos and get some exclusive bonus content, then check out my Patreon and channel memberships down in the description below. God bless and ciao for now, everyone.